Good afternoon and welcome to today's intergenerational workshop, Presente, a Latino History of the United States. My name is Allegra Jaffe, and I am a social service specialist with the Caregiver and Supportive Service Unit with the Fairfax Area Agency on Aging. Before I introduce today's speaker, I will go over a few housekeeping items. Today's presentation is being recorded, and a recording will be sent to all registrants a week from today. We have enabled closed captioning in case you need it. Also, there is a Q&A button where you can submit your questions throughout the workshop. And lastly, there will be a brief survey as you sign out, so please take a moment to fill out that survey because it helps us create programs that are relevant and important to our caregiving community. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce today's instructor, Natalia M. Favo. Natalia is a museum educator and visual artist born and raised in Puerto Rico and residing in Washington, D.C. Currently, she works as the Community Engagement and Volunteer Coordinator at the National Museum of the American Latino and is part of the team that developed the first National Latino Gallery at the Smithsonian. Natalia has a passion for visual arts, history, and cultural programs and has worked in the museum education programs for over 10 years. Before joining the Smithsonian, Natalia worked as an arts integration educator at Carlos Rosario School International Public Charter School in Washington, D.C. She developed and co-taught arts integration programs for adult English language learners and Spanish literacy classes. Natalia's experience includes working as a lead facilitator at Spark Lab at the Smithsonian National Museum of American History, a maker educator at Kid Museum in Maryland, and tour guide and workshop assistant at the Museum of History, Anthropology, and Arts of the University of Puerto Rico. Natalia holds an MA in Museum Studies from the George Washington University and a BA in Advertising and Public Relations with a minor in Fine Arts from the University of Puerto Rico. Natalia, welcome and thank you so much for being here today. We are really looking forward to your workshop. Please take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Allegra, for having me today. I'm very excited to talk about Presente, a Latino history of the United States. So I'm going to begin to share the presentation in a second. There we go. There we go. Awesome. All right, so a little bit about us. So like Allegra mentioned, we're part of the Smithsonian, the National Museum of the American Latino. In 2020, Congress passed a bill to create a museum related to U.S. Latino history within the Smithsonian. For those of you that don't know about the Smithsonian is a big institution. It has a lot of museums, most of them in the Washington, D.C. area, the natural history, American history, African-American history and culture. But there are other centers and other units across the United States and even in other countries that are part of Smithsonian. Before the creation of the National Museum of the American Latino, there was a center, the Smithsonian Latino Center, that was founded in 1997. And it was a center that did not have a physical space, but we did collaborate it with other Smithsonian museums in creating family programs, workshops, and also in being part of other exhibitions. But as a center, we did not have a physical space. So a couple of years ago, around 6-7 years ago, the Smithsonian Latino Center started thinking about creating a gallery. But to start with a gallery, you need money. So we were able to secure a donation to have this space. And as we're working to create the Molina Family Latino Gallery, that's when the Congress passed a bill to actually have a museum. So the team of the center became the team of the museum. It was like a switch. We did not know what was going to happen. We were like, are we going to stay as a center? Are we going to be part of the museum? So that's exactly what happened. This photo that I have here on display, it's a photo of our team that put together this first gallery, the Molina Family Latino Gallery. And I'll talk a little bit about why does it have that name. And where is the gallery located? Our gallery is located inside the National Museum of American History in DC. So right now we're like a museum within a museum. This space, we are going to have it for the next 10 years while we do fundraising to actually be able to build a museum, because building a museum takes money, time, and right now we are in the process of waiting for Congress to decide where our site for the museum is going to be. There are 2 potential sites in the National Mall near the tidal basin, but it's actually up to Congress to decide if we take one of those spots. In the meantime, because we want to be doing things and connecting with the community, we have this gallery. Right now, this first exhibition about Presente is basically like Latino History 101. And we're going to continue to do different types of exhibitions in the next 10 years while we wait and we have our actual museum, ready. About the Molina Family Latino Gallery, why does it have the name? As I mentioned, as a center, we did not have a physical space. So the Molina family are the children of Dr. C. David Molina. He was an ER physician that he saw that a lot of people were coming to the emergency room with things that were not emergencies. So he realized that the community needed clinics. So he began the Molina clinics. This is in the south of the US. And these clinics, kept on growing, and eventually they became Molina Healthcare Inc. And although Dr. Molina, he passed away a couple years ago, his children are still part of the Molina Healthcare Inc. And in honor of their father, they actually gave us that first donation that we were able to, secure a space inside American history and transform that space into the gallery that we have today. That space was basically like a storage, but now it's an amazing and beautiful gallery. And we're going to explore a little bit about the stuff that we have there. This photo is a photo of the entrance of our gallery. Presente, Latino History of the United States. Our exhibition is in English and in Spanish, and it has over 200 objects that tells the story of how the Latino community began in the US. So the focus is US Latinos. The focus is not Latin America, but of course we have to talk about Latin America in order to talk about Latinos in the US. All right, so what are the main themes that we explore in Presente? We use objects, arts, digital media to explore diverse Latino stories and perspectives. One of the things that we wanted to focus on was telling the untold stories. So we are going to see objects that maybe people didn't know about, objects and stories that were not in history books. We want to tell those untold stories. And the themes that we explore are the effects of colonization in the Americas, manifest destiny. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. The Mexican-American War, the Spanish-American War, immigration, and overall community stories, how Latinos have changed the nation, at a regional level and also at a national level. So when we begin, our first section is titled Colonial Legacies, Legados Coloniales. And this section examines how Indigenous and African peoples resisted and reacted to Spanish and other European colonizations. When we explore the gallery, before each main section, we have an iconic object, an object that summarizes that particular section. And what I have here in the photo is our first object, which is an outfit from the indigenous group of Las Inditas del Pueblo de Abiquiu in New Mexico. They are a group that are part of what's called the Genizaros. And Genizaros, their ancestors were people who were enslaved by other indigenous groups and other Spanish colonizers, but their culture is still very alive today. So for us, it's very important that we emphasize that indigenous communities are, living culture. They're part of our community. They're very alive. It's not something that stayed in the past, but it's something that is very present today. So this is our first object when we begin talking about colonial legacies, emphasizing that here in the Americas, there were already indigenous groups and indigenous communities across the Americas. So even before we start talking about Latinidad today, we need to talk about who were here before and who, for many of us, our ancestors were part of these indigenous groups. This next photo is a photo of how that first section of colonial legacies looks like. Each section is going to be divided into either 3 or 4 sub-themes. And one of the first themes is related to colonization. Then we go on into uprisings and resistance, and then exploring Mexico's northern frontier. So what I'm going to do for today, because these are more than 200 objects, I'm just going to do a selection of objects of the gallery. I am going to do also an activity in which I'm going to show you a photo of an art that we have on display, and I'm going to post a question. So you can answer, you can type your question. You can type your answer, and Allegra is going to go over and read the questions, okay? It'll be a fun way for us to look at art, and it's a technique that is used in a lot of art museums to take a break and stare at art and think more about it. Instead of just quickly reading the label, we just take a moment to look at the piece and just start to brainstorm, what could this be? And this is our first art piece that I'm going to ask the first question. So the first question is, what do you see? And those of you that have access to a keyboard, type up, what do you see? It could be a word, it can be a sentence. And there's a prompt. You can start with, I see blank.
Okay, Natalia, I will let you know when we start getting those in. And you can use the Q&A. So chat is not enabled. You can use the Q&A button to write your write. Okay, let's see. We got some coming in. I see a turtle.
Yeah.
I see another turtle, Carrie, a turtle island. I see North America and South America. I see ocean. So those are some good ones. I see a turtle in the water with a map on its body. Ooh.
Those are great answers. Thank you so much. The next question is, what do you think about it?
Okay. And while they're typing, I'll read you a few others that came in too, Natalia. Turtle, waves, and language. I see una turtle con America on top of it. I see a turtle in the ocean. I see North America and South America. A turtle and continents of North and South America. And so here is to your next question, what do you think about it? I have indigenous carrying the Americas. Turtle Island is the name some Native Americans called their land. I think this piece of art is trying to say that North America and South America are an indigenous land. I wonder what the significance of the turtle is. I like that it says Tierra Indigena. I might be saying these things wrong, but land is connected to wildlife and the ocean and people. Everything is connected. Ooh. The slow motion of natives penetrating all the Americas. I like the Caribbean that's represented. What is the significance of the turtle? I see the unity of lands and cultural environment.
And the next, those are all great answers. Thank you everyone for sharing. The next question is, what does it make you wonder?
So the wonder one might be, what is the significance of the turtle? While I'm waiting for those answers to come in, someone said, this is powerful for me because the Americas were indigenous land. So now we're looking for, what does it make you wonder? I wonder, let's see. What is the significance of the turtle?
Yeah, that's a good
Mhm.
question.
Yep. I wonder who made this art. I wonder what to do now that we have been taken over.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Those are all great questions. So thank you everyone for sharing. So this technique is called See, Think, Wonder. And it's a slow looking technique used to look at art. So first you see it, right? Then you think a little bit more about it. Like besides the first thing that I see, what else does this art piece say? And then wonder is like, what other questions, right, do I have about what I'm looking at? All great answers, everyone. Again, thank you for sharing. So this art is called Tortuguita. That's a title, which that means in Spanish, little turtle. And it's by the artist Jesus Barraza. It's an artwork from 2017. And like some of you already mentioned it, basically what this summarizes is that no matter what you call the Americas, it will always be indigenous lands. And this is like one of our main focus in the first section, right? Is emphasizing the indigenous cultures that were already here present when colonization began to occur. And in the case for the turtle, for many indigenous communities, the turtle is related to the creation of the world, to the beginning of life. So to many people, the turtle is a very important symbol in their community. So that's why we have, right, this turtle. And then in the back, it has like a map of the Americas and then, the ocean. So it's like the turtle is like carrying the Americas. So thank you all. This is a great way to start with the first section. So that first section, like I mentioned, has another subsection, which is resistance and uprisings. And the main area is how African, indigenous, and mixed race people remade their societies despite the inhumanities of colonization. So what I have on the photo is kind of like a graphic of how the gallery looks like in that particular section. But I'm gonna explore next one of the art pieces that we have in that section, and we're gonna do this technique again. We'll do this around 5 times throughout the presentation. So we have another artwork here. So let's go again with what do you see?
Okay, and I am looking in the Q&A box. I will let you know in a moment. We'll give folks a moment to type. So what do you see? I see defense.
Yes.
I see a warrior. I see someone fighting for his freedom. I see someone who appears to be indigenous riding a horse. They look courageous. I see a person in a war garb on a white horse. I see an Indian warrior defending his land. I see a man charging with a white horse representing pure heart.
Oh,
I
wow.
see an indigenous man on a horse that is running so fast through a desert that its feet are off the ground. Oh, I see a horse that is not native to the Americas.
Good point. I'm gonna pose the next question. What do you think about it?
What do you think about it? Let folks think about that.
And again, it could be anything.
I think it shows power and movement. I
Yeah.
think the horse looks so powerful.
Yeah, those are good. And
I
what
think
about
it's not strictly a man, but could be a woman or a non-binary person. I think it's not strictly a man, but could have, oh, sorry. I think it looks like an impending threat. I think that there's a forward movement, not going back. I think it decepts a rider rushing to go somewhere.
Yeah. And then the last question for the activity, what does it make you wonder?
What does it make you wonder? I wonder where he's going.
Yeah.
um, I wonder if it could be a hunt. I wonder
Mhm.
where he's headed. I wonder what is ahead. It makes me wonder where this person is going and why are they going there so urgently? I
Yeah.
wonder if this person is on the offense or defense. I wonder if
Yeah.
this person is defending, showing strength, running free, question mark. I wonder if he's fleeing. Looks like he's on a mission or in a mission.
Yeah. Those are all great observations. Thank you, everyone. So when we talk about resistance and uprising during the colonization period, one of the stories that for us is extremely important to talk about is actually the revolution in Haiti. So we have that Haiti in the Americas was the first colony that they fought back against the French, and they were able to obtain their independence. So when we talk about, right, fighting back, this is a very important story that we need to tell. So this art piece is called The Opener. Is by the artist Jacob Lawrence. So Jacob Lawrence was an African American, very famous painter. And he painted a whole series related to the Haitian Revolution. And who we have here as the opener is the leader of the Haitian Revolution, Toussaint Louverture. So we have that these were men who were enslaved or formerly enslaved, fighting back to, gain their freedom. And after the Haitian Revolution, and we're talking about this was like 1791 until 1804, like that time period. After that, a lot of the big empires were very worried about like what's going to happen next with the colonies, right? And that's actually eventually, right, a lot of colonies start fighting back to regain their independence from whichever country was in power. So for us, it's very important, like I say, to talk about these leaders fighting back. Another leader that we have on display in the gallery is Popeye, and I have here two objects. One is more like a sculpture, face, and the other one is a jar with like a comic book style drawing. So Popeye was an indigenous leader from the Pueblo indigenous groups in the southwest of the US. So Popeye fought back. He actually got together with other Pueblo people and other indigenous groups in the area, and they were able to fight back against the Spanish and, regain their land. They were able to have their land, without the Spanish colonizer for around 12 years. But it's very important to tell the story of Popeye. It's a story that a lot of people might not know about it. So we have here, two depictions of illustrating Popeye, the leader of the Pueblo revolt. And again, because it's a summary of the gallery, I just chose those objects for the first section. But thinking again, why is that section important to us when we think about Latinidad? It's going to answer basically, for many of us Latinos today, we have a big connection to the indigenous communities in the Americas. So it's important to highlight those stories because they're part of us. As we move on to the second section, we are exploring we're exploring wars of expansion. So we're exploring the theme of the war of US with Mexico and US and Spain. So this photo that I have here, it has a section related of Texas breaking from Mexico, then the invasion of Mexico, and then later on, it's not shown here, but it's the part of Puerto Rico. So this section examines how U.S. expansionism and how Mexican-American War and Spanish-American War impacted the history of the oldest U.S. Latino communities, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, and Cubans. And we have a photo of a printing press, which was used during that time period to create different types of pamphlets and posters for recruiting people to volunteer in the different conflicts that were going on. And I begin with exploring this section with this art piece, and we're gonna repeat again the activity. What do you see?
Okay, let's see. What do I see? Manifest destiny.
All right, yeah. We can go on, right? Yes.
Yeah, yes. And like I said, I'll give everyone a moment to type. I see strategic use of light and darkness. Oh, I see the frontier.
Yeah.
A white savior. I see an angel. I see the whites taking over, selling it as redemption. I see settlers coming in and pushing out the natives who live there. Yes, I see MF destiny. This scene appears to be pure and holy. I see forward expansion to the west by the white freedom seekers. I see invasion.
Yeah. What do you think about it?
Let's see. What do you think about it? And one other I see is I see an angel as well. Then notice that she was carrying telegraph lines. So I see someone else's point that it represents manifest destiny. I didn't even notice that. This is great to see everybody.
Yeah, that's why we gotta like take time and slowly look at the art.
Yeah. So what do you think about it? It has not stopped.
Very interesting point.
It makes me think about the strategic tactics used to commit genocide. It makes me think that using beauty to justify expansionism. I'm mispronouncing that word, but expanding.
And what does it make you all wonder?
What does it make you wonder?
Some people already, I think, have shared a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's a few others while they're typing is I think it's similar to the D. La Croix paintings of revolution. It makes me wonder using beauty. Oh, I said that. It makes me wonder what it felt like to be displaced.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder a philosophy of our country for expansion. Makes me wonder, how did the audience of this time react to this painting?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder about restitution. I wonder, was the beginning of colonization? It makes me wonder when or how are we stopping it?
Yeah. So, thank you everyone once again. These are all great answers, and I feel
There's
like
one left in here, Natalia,
go
too.
ahead. Yeah.
It makes me wonder whether people now recognize the harm that was done to Native people that were justified by thinking that they didn't recognize them as equal people to the European colonizers. And here's another one. In the foreground, it seems honorable, not harmful, but looking at the folks on the left, the people in the buffalo, it makes me wonder if we will ever change. Yeah,
those are all great observations. And like I mentioned, like some of you already did mention, it's manifest destiny. It's part of that belief that if you were Anglo-American white Protestant, you had this divine power given by God to just, take over land and expand. And although in the technical aspects of the painting, right, it looks beautiful, but when you really look into this and you think about it, this is actually it's fairly harsh for a lot of people, for a lot of communities, right? The title of the art is American Progress. So we pose the question, right? Progress to who? Because we have this woman that looks kind of like an angel that seems like it's bringing technology, but at what cost, right? We have other people who are already there being displaced. So this in the gallery, we do have the original painting from 1872. Which is a painting that in many of the history books is used to, just talk about this theme. So I like to just, start with this because it helps us explore the whole section. So we also have Texas breaking from Mexico. A lot of people actually don't know that Texas was part of Mexico until 1836. And we have that when Texas was part of Mexico, the Mexican government actually wanted more people, Anglo-Americans, to move to the area so that they can take up cattle ranching. But at some point, there were a lot of Anglo-Americans in Texas, and they felt that the Mexican government had too much power. And also Mexico had abolished slavery. And the people in that area, they wanted to reinstate slavery. So there was the war. Eventually, Texas, separates itself from Mexico. It becomes its own republic, and eventually then joins the US and reinstates slavery. So this is when a lot of people say, we didn't cross the border crossed us. So we have that because of this, suddenly more than 100,000 Mexicans are now US citizens. So today, a lot of people with Mexican ancestry, like their people were here before. So when we talk about Latino community, for many people, their ancestors were here. When we were doing research to think about this exhibition and the theme, we asked visitors, just general visitors to the museum, like, what do you know about US Latinos? And one comment that was brought up was like, Latinos are a new community. And actually, no, we're not a new community. There might be some newer communities among the Latino group, but there were people that their ancestors were already here. So we're not a new community. When we talk about the US and Mexico War, we have on display a like a, oh my God, a soldier's defense like outfit. This
Shield.
one is, yeah. So these ones were brought back to the US as some kind of trophy. So we have this object on display, and very interesting, right? Depending on who you're talking to about this moment, the Mexican-American War in Mexico is called remember as the North American invasion, right? So we always need to think about, right, like both sides of the story, and many times in history is just like the winners. But what about the other side of the story? What happened with those people? What was going on? So that's one of the reasons why in this section we explore that too. I'm going to move on to the next section of immigration stories. And again, I'm picking like 2-3 objects from each section because there's a lot of them. But with immigration stories, what we want to say is that each story is very unique. There's not a single same immigration story. So we have a variety of objects that reflect that. Some people maybe left their homeland because of civil wars, because of US being involved in their country and things, getting more challenging. Maybe they move because of like environmental factors. So there's many, many, many reasons why people move for a better life. So while many Latinas and Latinos immigrants arrive in the US seeking work and opportunity, the reasons for immigrating and methods of arriving, they vary. So very important, there's no single Latino immigration story. So one of the objects that we do have on display is a raft. It's a Balsa Raft used by Cuban balseros in the early 90s. And this object is made out of styrofoam and found materials like plastic tarp. And there's a little bit of wood, but it's an object that fits only 2 men. And we have it in the gallery in a section, like in the beginning of this section, because we really want visitors to pause and reflect. Just think about how harsh things must have been in your home country for you to just like, first, be very creative to build something like this. And second, just like risk it all just because you want, right, a better opportunity, a better life. So very important for us to like have those moments of reflection in the gallery. So we have that piece in the beginning of Immigration Stories. We have another artwork that I would like to do the activity once again. This is a more contemporary art. So posing the question, what do you see?
Okay. What do you see? I see hope. I see butterflies. I see migration. Butterflies mean migration, I think. I see brownness. I see gentle beauty and freedom. I see Latino dreams representation. I see Latino dreams representation. I see resilience, standing up for your future. I see truth.
Yeah.
Nice.
What do you think about it?
And someone else said, I see liberation from the chrysalis where dreams are born from.
Ooh.
So what do you think about it? Another I see at the moment is I see all the butterflies at the bottom supporting the woman's arms.
Yeah. Actually, first time I see it like that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, look at
Yeah.
that.
Never thought about it like that, but yeah.
What do you think about it? I think she is hopeful and beautiful. I think she is reflecting and almost in prayer.
Mhm.
I think her eyes are closed because she doesn't want to see anyone who will react negatively to her dream.
Mhm.
I think she is dreaming. I think it's showing brown is beautiful and brown doesn't frown. I think that strength is found in unusual, unexpected ways, and that nature's beauty gives us the world. Nice.
And the last one, what does it make you wonder?
What does it make you wonder? And before that, someone said, I think hope and beauty. What does it make you wonder? Legal is made by others. I wonder what her dreams are. I think she is visualizing her bright future, and butterflies represent a transformation or immigration, might be of immigration. It makes me wonder what her dreams are. I wonder what her dreams are. I see her dreams for her children. That the borders are arbitrary. I wonder why she does not open her eyes. I wonder if we can really see all this beauty and let it exist in itself and to allow it to transform all of us. I wonder what is illegal about her. I wonder, did she conquer her dreams?
Thank you all for sharing. It's so powerful. I'm like, I even get a little like teary.
Me too. You can't
Yeah.
see me, but I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
this is really powerful.
It is. It is. And that's the power of like, taking a pause and looking at art and thinking about all the possibilities of what things could be. So thank you everyone for sharing. So the title of this art is My Dreams Are Not Illegal, by Jocelyn Riojas. It's from 2017. It's a pretty new art piece. So we have this art in a section titled Who Gets to Belong? And it's mostly related to DACA young people who are in this program. They were brought here when they were very little. They were born in other countries, but they grew up in the US and their home is the US, right? And there's not a direct path to citizenship right now. There might be some benefits, but not a lot of benefits, right? So who get to belong, right? So you all shared a lot about this art piece. When we talk about immigration, the monarch butterfly, it's a symbol of immigration because the monarch might spend some time in the US and then it goes to Mexico and then it comes back. So it's, someone mentioned like, like there are no barriers in nature, right? So that's why this artist used the monarch butterfly as that symbol of like, my dreams are not illegal. Very, very powerful. And again, thank you for sharing all those answers because like it got to my heart. I think it got to Allegra's heart too, right? It's just so powerful.
It did.
So one of the objects that we have, one of the themes that we have on display on this section about immigration is seeking work and opportunity. So like I mentioned, a lot of people came for different reasons. And one of the programs that brought a lot of Mexicanos to the US was the Brassetto Program. So the Brassetto Program was a program between US and Mexico during the Second World War. We have that because the US men were sent to the war. There weren't people that could work the land. So this program promised Mexicans housing, job opportunities, a good pay, a good salary, but the reality of the program was completely different. The men were faced with like very harsh conditions for work, very harsh conditions for their living, and even their pay. So a lot of people today, like a lot of Latinos from the South, their grandparents or great grandparents maybe were part of this program that promised, great opportunities to Mexicans, but then that wasn't the reality. And the photo we have this man, he is bent and he's using a tool that is called a short handle hoe. And I do have a photo of how that looks like. We don't have it on display. It's part of the American History collection, but I have it here just so I could show like the type of tool that was used. So imagine yourself being all day using this type of tool in the middle of the heat in California. It was harsh. It was really, really harsh. So eventually California banned this type of tool and it could not be used in the agriculture field because of like the harsh conditions that men and women were put through during this time period in this program. This was in the 50s. So thinking about the different reasons why people move and the different programs that existed. So this is one of them. We also like to highlight other stories related to the DC area. And this one I also like to talk about it. This is a profile of Evelio Grillo. Evelio Grillo was a Cuban that was raised in Florida during the time of segregation. But Evelio has a very unique story because Evelio is a Black Cuban that basically didn't fit anywhere. Because he was Black, but Latino, he didn't fit within the Black community. But because he was Black, he also struggled to fit in the Latino community with mostly predominant like white Latinos. So he wrote this book called Black Cuban, Black American, and it's a memoir about, his struggles of like, where do I fit? Eventually he moved to the DC area. He studied in DC and he became an activist. So I always like to highlight this like kind of like hidden stories that we don't hear about in our community. And then we're moving on to our last section. And again, I did like a big summary here, picking like 2 or 3 objects. Our last section is titled Shaping the Nation. And again, divided into 3 subsections: building community, fighting for justice, and breaking barriers. Among the themes explored in this section is fighting for justice, like I mentioned, supporting fair labor practices, education access, criminal justice reform, LGBT rights. So it's a little bit of everything of Latinos making change regionally, community, and also like at a national level. This is like one of our biggest pieces in the gallery, and it's very beautiful. So we're gonna do this activity one more time. I think this might be the last time. So everyone, what do you see here?
Okay, what do you see here? I'll give everyone a moment. While they're typing, people just want to let you know they appreciate your presentation. It's great.
Thank you.
Good. What do you see? I see a family tree. I see
Ah,
a family tree. I see ancestors. I see a family tree. I see family and interconnectedness. I see a crown. Mm.
mm,
I see nice families. I see color, family, variety, birds, a tree for the whole Latino slash a family. I see a tree of hope and opportunities for all in it.
The next one, what do you think about it?
What do you think about it? And while they're typing, I'll just read you the last two is I see a headpiece and I see culture. And I see the
Mm,
tree of life, which is inclusive to all. So what do you think about it? Let's see. What do you think about it? I think this is a great piece, inclusion. I think it reinforces the idea of the importance of familia. You can say that so much better than me. How do I say it?
Yeah, familia. Yeah, you
I did
can.
it right. Familia.
Yeah, you did it right.
I think we have many things to share. I think it's colorful, united. I think it's a lovely artifact for a family heirloom. I think the Latino slash a family is my family.
And then the last one, what does it make you wonder?
What does it make you wonder? What does it make you wonder? Let's see. While they're typing that, I have one last. I see it represents many Latino families that have people of different colors and backgrounds and possibly countries in Latin America. I think the birds represent the community that binds the Latino community, a community that has flown to expand to occupy all the Americas. And then as for, I wonder about each family's story. I wonder, would we ever be a tight family regarding origin? I wonder, can our country welcome and receive all these fantastic gifts? I wonder, what names does this family have? Names are important in Hispanic families.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, thank you everyone for
Yeah.
sharing all of that.
And last one
The
was how
oh
we
yeah,
can all flourish given our diversity.
yeah,
Mm.
that's a big one. Yeah. So the title of this art piece is Raíces, Historia y Justicias Latina. That's roots, history, and Latina justice. It's by renowned artist Veronica Castillo, and this is a commission piece. We actually talked to the artist, and we she's known for her art titled Trees of Life. So it is a tree of life, in Espanol, Árbol de la Vida. So originally, this type of art was used to tell the creation story, like Adam and Eva, Adam and Eve. um, but today the artist, she uses it to tell contemporary stories. So we told the artist, hey, we have this whole section about different Latino stories and Latinas and how they are changing the nation. So although we do see a family, like in the bottom, it does represent like a Latino family. Each individual figure is different people that we have featured in the gallery. For example, in the middle here, this figure represents Dr. C. David Molina, who we honor, and the gallery has its name. We have, for example, these are dresses that we have on display. Every 6 months we do a rotation. So traditional dresses that are part of our community of different groups. This is, I think, one is from Panama and one is one is Panama and the other one I forgot right now. We have another very important profile here in the middle. It's a Pura Belpré. She was a Puerto Rican that moved to New York, and she realized that in the New York library system, there weren't any books to tell stories in Spanish or stories about Latino communities. So she actually began with that. So it's an amazing piece. It's 3 feet by 4 feet. It actually rotates. So it does have more people in like each section and each branch. And someone did brought up about the birds and the butterflies. These are representative of the countries of origin of the people reflected here. So it's a very beautiful piece. All right, we're gonna be doing this activity. I think this is probably the last one. One more art piece here. And I guess we are running out of time. What do you see?
Okay, what do you see? I see the people who fed us striving for justice. I see land workers.
Mhm,
I see perhaps a campaign poster for
mhm,
Caesar's Chavez movement.
Yep.
I see a poster for the United Farmer Worker Union. I see courageous farm workers who were led by Caesar Chavez. I see farm workers, hard work. I see the hard work that Latinos do every day.
mhm.
I see families picking up lettuce from the fields, agricultures, immigrants who come to work in the fields. I see sad and happy faces. I see farm workers fighting oppression. I see the recognition of the Filipino farm workers who kickstarted the farm worker movement.
The last 2 questions, what do you think about it and what does it make you wonder?
Boycott of lettuce and grapes to give field workers a living wage. Let's see, what do you think about it and what does it make you wonder? We'll give folks just a moment to type in. Hardworking people. I wonder if we'll be able to see Caesar's vision realized. It makes me think of the dignity and pride of this work and hope that comes with this fight. Boycott for a better condition. Makes me think of the dignity and pride of this work and the hope that comes with this fight. I supported the Great Boycott, and I wonder if we need to do another.
Mm. Well, thank you everyone so much for your answers. I think between everyone, you all have summarized this this art. It is a poster from the Farm Workers Association. And in the middle, we do see here, right here to the bottom left, Cesar Chavez, the leader of this movement, right? That him, Dolores Huerta, and other people, someone mentioned Filipino community, right? Fighting together for better conditions for Latinos working in agriculture, and not Latinos only, but everyone. So again, highlighting the importance of how we've been involved, right? To just fight for better conditions for everyone, not just us. And in the back, you have the Si Se Puede um, uh, slogan used in that time. So we're still like, right, we can do this. We can fight back and we're gonna do it for our community and for everyone. The artist Boycott Lettuce and Grapes, and it's from 1977. I did went over a little bit about this story, Pura Belpré, the first Puerto Rican librarian. We do have on display some puppets of the story of La Cucarachita Martina. It was a story about actually a cockroach and a little mouse. A very popular story in Puerto Rico and in other Latin American countries. So Pura actually was that woman that in New York, she started telling these folk stories that she grew up listening to, but the Latino kids in New York, they didn't. So very important when we talk about literacy and children's book stories. Pura plays a very important profile. We also have Ellen Ochoa's helmet. Ellen was the first Latina to go into space. She's a Mexican-American engineer. So we also have her helmet in display. So in the section of Breaking Boundaries, we feature Ellen Ochoa. And I know we're almost out of time, but I did wanted to ask these two questions to the group as kind of like a moment to pause and reflect before I open it up to more questions. How are the past and present related? ¿Cómo se relaciona el pasado y el presente? You can just type it up.
Sure, we'll let folks. And folks, we're at 12:55. We're going to go ahead and stay to 1:05. So just letting you know, we're going to stay an extra 5 minutes. If you can't stay, just a reminder, this is being recorded, so we'll send it to you a week from today. Here's some pause and reflect answers. Past is prologue and informs the future, but it doesn't have to control the future. They are related because history can repeat itself if we don't learn from the past.
Yeah. I do have another question. I can also put it here.
Sure.
Wait, sorry, 1 second. The other question is, what place does your family story have in American history?
And someone else says, the past shows who we were. The future is our hopes and dreams and the ever-evolving community. We tend to forget the lessons from the past to apply to the present. Oh, this is why they say it's so important to know your history, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Someone says, generational trauma continues. Culture remains only when families perpetuate learning about history and traditions.
Well, thank you everyone that shared. I did wanted to post our website, latino.si.edu. There is a lot of information about the gallery, when we're open. We're basically open every day except Christmas. And we also have an education space. It's a space for families, and it's open Tuesdays through Sundays, but you can get more information about that at latino.si.edu. And again, our gallery is inside the American History Museum in Washington, D.C. Allegra, I don't know. I know we're about to be finished, but
You still
should
have
I present the video? Can we do the video? Okay, I did wanted to show you, like, I'm gonna stop sharing the presentation. And I'm gonna switch to a video of the gallery. All right, everyone. It's just a couple of seconds of. I want you to see how it looks like.
Sure. Hey, Natalia, you need to reshare your screen though.
Got it. Let me stop there.
Yeah, thank you. And while you're doing that, Natalia, I got a few questions. Can we multitask real quick?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Let me just, I'm gonna lower the audio a bit, okay?
Sure. Are you open on Juneteenth this Monday? Or
yeah,
you guys
we are open on Monday. Yeah. I would say the education space is closed on Mondays, but the gallery is open on Mondays.
Okay, got it. Okay, we can go ahead and look at your video.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, I can. So this is a look at what the gallery looks like. Right. It looks like it might be reloading now, Natalia. There we go.
Gonna stop sharing right now.
Okay, no problem.
Wait 1 second here. There we go. So that's the Molina Family Latino Gallery of the National Museum of the American Latino. Can you see me? Am I
I
or
can
hear
see
me?
you.
Okay.
Yep, I can see you. I'm on with you.
All
Yes.
right. So thank you, Allegra, for having me today. I know it was like a quick summary of our gallery, but I highly encourage you all, if you have the time, to come to DC, stop by the gallery. It's going to be open. This exhibit is going to be open probably like 2 more years. We're already in the works working on the next one. But we have this space for 10 years. So you'll have the opportunity, hopefully, to come and visit us. And if there's any other questions, I'm open. I could talk more.
I had a comment from your reflection about that about my family history is very mixed. We have those who are conquered and those who are conquerors. It's good to know as much of our history. It's good to know as much of our history. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely true. It's a very conflictive history, right? Yeah.
And then you have some comments, Natalia, that said this was great. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful presentation and sharing of the gallery and knowledge. Someone's going to the gallery tomorrow now.
Hey, the application space is open tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you want to stop by over there. Yeah.
Love the presentation. Can we get, can you share in the PowerPoint that we sent out, is your information on that slide too, Natalia?
I think it's on the first slide. Let me check real quick.
So that contact info might be on the slide. We'll check if
Yeah,
it's not out. It is.
It's on the bottom. It's on like a little blue box on the first slide. It's my email is there and my whole name and title is there.
Great. And yes, again, it is open Monday on
it's open
Monday, the Juneteenth holiday. It is open. And again, Natalia, thank you so much. This was a great presentation, great workshop. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much to our audience for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here. Just want to remind you, as you sign out, there will be that brief survey. Please take a moment to answer those questions. It will help us be able to make future programs. Also, if you have comments you would like to share with Natalia, you can please go ahead and make those comments in the survey.
Allegra, I wanted to share something real quick. Someone asked about Smithsonian summer solstice. So this is Saturday, June 24th. Where a lot of Smithsonian museums are going to be open until really late at night. Each museum has different hours, so I do recommend, if you're interested in a museum, to check their website. But I will say American History is open until 10 p.m., which means that our gallery is also open Saturday, June 24th until 10. So if you wanted to come to DC later at night, that day will be open.
And you are having extended hours.
We are having extended hours that day. On Smithsonian summer solstice.
Okay, great. Also, folks, I just want to invite you to our next caregiver webinar, which is next Wednesday, June 21st from noon to 1. That will be Brain Fitness, Keys to Extending Independence. It's presented by Dr. Ellen Clark, who will teach caregivers how to extend independence through improved brain health. So again, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you again, Natalia, for your time and your expertise. And I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Allegra. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thanks.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.